Yo, GM, Adam, what is good, man? It's been 5 days. It feels like it's been 5 weeks since we last on the show.
I hear we got some good news in the crypto space, so I'm excited to get into it, man.
Dude, real exciting. But first, Bunzy, what's good, bro? Are you finally out of those caves that you've been in all weekend?
Yes, dude. I got some solid recharge, found some caves. Was thinking about launching some stuff from caves, going full Osama with it, but no, dude, it was a wonderful trip. I'm hyped. But yeah, stoked to catch up with the Ordinals boys. And Randy, what's good? We got Harry down here too, just always doing what he does, just lurking and killing it.
Bro, were you on like a darkness retreat or what were you up to, man?
Well, I can't tell you about it. It rhymes with Osama. I was finding caves, and no, I went up to Central California for a friend's wedding, and just did a little bit of camping along the way, and a little hiking, and a little bit of finding and adventuring, and found some really cool caves and just coves. And Central California, man, the place is fucking gorgeous.
Let's go. All right, Randy, man, how have you been, bro? It's been I think a few weeks since we've talked on the Spaces.
Pretty good. I'm just working. We're trying to get some of this market share back from these motherfuckers.
Are you getting your ass kicked right now, bro? What's up?
A little bit.
Actually, it's an interesting point. Like, just to start off, like, what do you think about, what's your take on the different marketing tactics that we've seen over the last, 6 months, as far as trying to grab market share, either through drops or rewards? Like, what do you take away after kind of all this time? Like, what's your number one takeaway from it?
Well, I think that like the best thing we could have ever done was the Pixel Pepe drop. That really kind of propelled us into the conversation about kind of, the best marketplaces, and it enabled us to kind of get a lot of trust and loyalty from new customers. We've had a lot of trust and loyalty from previous customers with Twitch, but we captured a much bigger market with Ordinals, and we were able to do that through this Pixel Pepe stuff and a lot of the mints that we've done.
Yep.
So that was kind of a really good thing that we did. But now it's really a game of, it's not really a marketing game anymore. It's a game of providing the best possible services to your customers, and it's harder for smaller companies with less resources to compete, with these bigger companies, and that's just where we're at. We're just busting our ass trying to get up to par.
Yeah.
With all these.
First, everyone that's in the space, make sure that you retweet, or I guess X, was it re-X? I don't even know if repost, I guess.
Posting, they call it posting.
But I text at the top the spaces so everyone can hear Randy's awesome strategy regarding OrdinalsWallet moving forward. So make sure that you show that repeat or that repost. Randy, I had a question. I think we've talked about this a few times. When you look now, we're about 8 months into the Ordinal Marketplace Wars. That that chart that you see on Domo's Dune Analytics repository is quite interesting. It's always back and forth, but I think now we're starting to see some of the marketplaces take I guess command of certain sectors when it comes to Ordinals. You have Unisat, kind of is just like the go-to place for BRC20. You have Magic Eden is kind of the spot for PFPs, which is very similar to what they do with Solana. What is OrdinalsWallet's strategy moving forward? It looks like it's gaming, but maybe just add some clarification on what the strategy is moving forward.
Well, we really like the gaming stuff because stuff like JPEG Wars and Coon Battles, they provide utility in a space where, the question of utility is usually a big question. And honestly, what we found is that people don't really care about utility as much as they care about talking about it. They really like things that they can say about a project that might make the number go up, but when it comes to actually like being a part of whatever that is, that might not be the case. So I would say the arcade stuff is really fun, and it's a it's like a value proposition that allows us to stand out a little bit. But really, we just want to do everything. We want to have the best interface for engaging with all things ordinals, and that's our ultimate goal. Obviously, feature-wise, we want to be as feature-rich as Magic Eden is with their bulk stuff. They have this sweet floors, the multi-buy and the multi-list and transfer, which we're about to drop. We do have all these really great wallet tools. I mean, the number one thing I think people really love about Ordinals Wallet is the wallet page itself, where, you know, even if you're in there with Unisat or Xverse or whatever wallet you're using, our interface is very feature rich on the kind of viewing and managing side of those NFTs in the wallet. And now with our Launchpad, we definitely have like a much bigger platform for new projects to come in and mint than anywhere else. And so I think that's another place where we have seen kind of more attention and success. And now we're really just trying to get back into capturing the traders and what they want, and providing the features and the services and the speeds that they require, which is kind of a heavy lift.
Yeah, actually, so those who are watching the live stream, and you can see it on my profile or on our YouTube page, I've pulled up Ordinals.wallet. The first thing you notice when you come onto this page, if you haven't been on Ordinals Wallet for about 2 weeks, is that there's a fresh new UI. It looks a lot more modernized. What was the decision behind giving the whole entire marketplace a giant facelift?
Well, in reality, it was like we hadn't updated the homepage in a while, and our data was like lagging or dead, and the market was way down, and we needed to bring life to it somehow. And so we kind of gathered all the information that we could grab from all the top marketplaces, OpenSea, Magic Eden, and Blur and whatnot, and just tried to make it, Ordinals Wallet brand, but like, a real portfolio piece that we could kind of show off and provide better kind of information to customers.
It's interesting to me that you were talking about, the biggest impact you had was kind of releasing that collection, but now you're like, nah, but now we're going to focus on, just making a great product or whatever. But aren't you thinking about, like, I mean, or shouldn't you be thinking about, rather than just that, like, how to do something? I mean, obviously, PFPs and that sort of thing is somewhat been crushed, but wouldn't that seem to be that sort of strategy, that kind of disruptive community building strategy? If it was successful in the past, shouldn't that be something where you kind of thinking about how you can do that again?
Potentially. The reality is that we were early. We were extremely early in the market. We were one of the first wallets. We were one of the first marketplaces to launch on Ordinals. And that gave us a lot of that initial hype and excitement around our brand. And it was a brand new brand and all those things. Obviously Ordinals Wallet, Twitter has over 100,000 followers, probably one of the biggest in the space. So yeah, I mean, capturing attention when Ordinals had 275,000 users is a lot different than when it has, 5,000. And it gives us the opportunity really to go back in and, look at what we did wrong, look at what we did right, and figure out how we can recapture that market share that we were able to capture in the beginning.
Yeah, I just pulled up the Dune Analytics chart here. So as of today, although the day's not over, OKX commands about 53% of volume, Unisat 27, Magic Eden's 18, and then Ordinals Wallet is down to 0.5. But when you look back to
what date are you talking about?
This is today.
Okay.
It says the 29th.
Yeah, but if you look at the percentage share of transactions by marketplace, we're actually still very much in the picture.
Yeah. So right here. So if you move over to the transactions, and I'll give a little bit of explanation after this too. OKX has 31% of the transactions, Unisat 24, Magic Eden 27, and Ordinals Wallet is 16. So what this tells me
we
is
were at about 25 just a few days ago as well. I mean, I've been looking at this too. I'm just really trying to figure out like where we're at and, and how we can get it up.
So what does this data tell you? When I look at it, it says that you're having, or the majority of your customers are generally retail focused, maybe less about flippers and more collectors from low cost.
Yeah, we've always been kind of like the low cost, low barrier to entry marketplace. We've heard feedback from our customers has always been the UX is the best and the onboarding is really good. And then, you know, people will come in and come to get their first ordinal. That was kind of our whole agenda, you know, early on in February and March and even April. But now when we talk to our customers, it's really more about like, hey, you know, Magic Eden has X, Y, and Z, and we need that, or we're just going to take our money over there. And that's just kind of the way it is.
Cutthroat to begin with. Yeah, when you move down to unique users, cumulative, you guys are just under 40,000. So congratulations. That's, you know, quite a feat. You have OKXs at 11,000, Unisat's at 64, Magic Eden's at 77. So yeah, definitely ahead of OKX. It feels like their information tends to be off, or they just have like an abnormal amount of whales just pushing volume.
Yeah, I don't know
there.
if I don't really pay attention to that one as much. Maybe I should be. I'm not sure, but I just don't know if it's real.
Yeah, I feel that as well. Bunzi, what are you thinking throughout this conversation?
No, it's super interesting, and it kind of goes back to the concept of like how these markets move. Very similar to Ethereum. It's like we saw marketplaces go in, introduce some technology, collections come out that did, you know, you couldn't do much with them, and then the market responded and kind of went down. So it's like, I think Ordinals Wallet with Pixel Pepe on the timing was so cool, and I agree with Randy. I think now the word utility is something to just people talk about, but if that can't get replaced and fixed, because I just don't see why there's going to be this many tokens or this much need for tokens. And a lot of people put, you know, tokens before a platform. And I think Ordinals Wallet's in a cool place to have such a cool platform and maybe start introducing, you know, some more loyalty points or something along those lines, or rewards to kind of like incentivize a group of people that, you know, care about onboarding, care about that stuff. Because I think once you start trying to compete with feature for feature with other places, it's just like a race to zero to some degree. So I think what they've been doing is just like leaning into being like, you know, a marketplace for the people, kind of by the people. I think that's kind of been, you know, at least my take on it, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, and look, it's easy to come in and nitpick us because it's a single marketplace on this spaces. But if you just look at the market as a whole, Ordinals going from, you know, 5 million in volume in a couple of days to like $100,000. It's significantly smaller. The number of users on daily average users is significantly less, and that's just where we're at in the market right now. And we're fine with that. I mean, we've been through it many times over, and it's not an issue for us. Honestly, it just gives us time to catch up and figure out how we can do better for the next run up if there is one.
If you look at the chart right now, we are so fucking back, boys. We're ripping. Like I'm about ready to sell the house again, dude.
I also think that like in general, it seems like a lot of the attention in crypto is on tokens, and the Bitcoin token standard is just not as robust, you know, and that's just kind of what it is.
So I pulled up here on cryptoslam.io. This is the chart, or this is the website where you see a lot of the ETH influencers quoting Bitcoin and saying that Ordinals is dead because it has the blockchains by NFT sales volume. Ethereum is all the way up to number 1 on a rebound, about 6 million in 24 hours in volume, and Bitcoin's at number 7 at 352,000. There were multiple times during this last Ordinals run where Bitcoin was number 1 for days at a time. So healthy correction though, not nearly dead as a lot of people make it out to believe. It says that there's been 774 buyers in the last 24 hours, 352,000 in volume, which is about 20% up.
Yeah, so like if you look at kind of attention spans in the market, they're very short. And if there's nothing new and interesting coming out, like I think the last really big one was Bitmap. It's hard to, you got to keep that going, or you're just going to have corrections, and of course that's going to come. So this is just all natural market stuff, and we've been doing it for a long time, and we're going to keep doing it regardless of whatever's going on out there.
Yeah, it looks like it says so. June 2nd, just for preference, June 2nd had the most volume, which was 4.6 million. It says there was 16,000 unique buyers and 11,000 unique sellers. So definitely drastically off the high there.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, there hasn't been really anything new that's been introduced. What'd you say, Bunzi? Or is that somebody else?
That's someone else, I think.
Okay.
I was muted.
Go ahead, Dogfather, and see you've had your hand up.
Hey guys, yeah, I just wanted to give props to OrdinalsWallet. So it was my second wallet after Sparrow. So and I really loved, the super simple UI, UX, and I think many others also you prefer that over, selecting, among 4 different wallets and types, and people send it to the wrong one and whatnot. So I think keep that. I think that's super sleek and super important for onboarding. And I mean, for the heavy users, we also have, on ETH we have, the more simple UX, and then we have the more trader-oriented ones. And I think you cannot jump back and forth. You really need to know what is your key audience and then tailor towards them. So for instance, what you did with the bitmap was extremely cool. So I think that was helping the bitmap universe a lot, that this was such a cool interface where you could just click on a few and then inscribe all of them. So I think that was a prime example how you should do that. And for the next big thing, just repeat that, right? Just make it very simple for people to, to join and to jump on that. And maybe the next bigger thing, maybe the Friends protocol. I'm just kidding.
Shameless plug.
Plug it, bro. Don't worry. You're allowed to plug here.
shameless chill. No, I'm just saying, I mean, there will be another bigger thing. And I think if you are like fast and provide a very simple interface to jump on the next thing, like the bitmap, people will highly appreciate it. And obviously, if the market is growing bigger again, having something like pro features where you just click on where you have 2 different views, one with a simplified UX and then one with more pro features, may do the trick. But obviously that's something if we have really 10 or 100x in users.
Yeah, I think if you look at the number of users, we're fighting over a pool of, what did you say it was, Jake? How many? 700 people?
Yeah. So there's about 1,500 active per day between buyers and sellers.
So it's a very small pool. That's kind of one thing. And then, yeah, I forgot what I was going to say, but yeah, I mean, it's just down, and we're gonna keep on pushing. That's just where we're at.
Hey, keep grinding. I noticed this recently, Randy, that you and Josh, you guys have been exploring, ETH in terms of just personal investing and trading. Before you guys were, from the Bitcoin SV community, and you mostly stayed kind of in the Bitcoin domain, but you have begun to venture out there. Will that in turn allow OrdinalsWallet to maybe add some things outside of the Bitcoin ecosystem, maybe Bitcoin stamps or counterparty or Litecoin ordinals? Have you looked to kind of expand outside of the existing assets so that you can open the opportunity up to more than just 1,500 active buyers and sellers?
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking into every opportunity that we can find, and those are especially on the top list of the list. Litecoin, Dogecoin, potentially stamps, counterparty, whatever uses UTXOs, we can kind of plug in. And if the ordinal standard is compatible, it's gonna be pretty light, on the workload to like spin up a marketplace that uses a different chain, which is definitely interesting and could potentially open up the market to some new stuff, new people, new interest. And yeah, the Ethereum stuff really has kind of just shown us just how robust the smart contract and token ecosystem is over there, and just in general how much interest there is in tokens, and how everything comes in waves. You have the NFT wave and you have the token wave, then you have like the big coins like Bitcoin and ETH themselves get a wave, and then it all kind of cycles back over again, and there's always new tech and new products that come out, and you kind of have to be on top of all of that stuff if you want to know what's coming next.
Is your strategy at this point, with markets so crushed and stuff, is it, let's maximize our runway and just be ready for the next thing? Or is that your overarching strategy, or how do you look at the next, 6 months, a year out?
Yeah. I mean, get our technology to a point where we're really confident in it. Just in case something like that happens. But even if it didn't, like, we would be able to kind of hold up and have all the features that we want, already there. At some point, like if you look at OpenSea, it's not like they're often coming out with new innovative features and updates to the website. It's kind of just they've created this fully kind of built out marketplace, and that's where it's at. And hopefully we can get to that point, within the next year, where it just has everything that you need.
Yeah, I've been looking at a bunch of different marketplaces across the board, whether it's ETH or Ordinals or any of the Solana, all the other ecosystems, to see kind of what's new that's come out. And it's not that much that has, but one thing I do notice that every marketplace has is some sort of like user rewards, whether it's an OG point system or like your Looks Rare, where you share some of the revenue with the token holders of Looks. I know you guys have rewarded, your participants and users since the beginning, as you mentioned with Pixel Pepe. Is there any interest in adding some sort of like on-chain reward system, maybe using recursion or off-chain even?
Yeah, all of that is on the table, and it's all very interesting. We also did Space Pepe, which we did a much larger pool of people. It was like 17,000. And what we found is like, you have to kind of balance the number of people that get the reward in order to kind of keep that market and interest up over time, and have room for new entrants and stuff like that. But as far as like doing our own token and doing, revenue share, and all that stuff is very interesting to us, and it's all on the table. But there's definitely a lot of question marks there with regards to like what's allowed, what's legal.
Yeah, Adam, we've learned that a little bit, huh? As well as we've explored everything from Emblem side.
What is that depending on the person you talk to, you're going to get a different answer every time, right? Like it's so much gray area. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, man.
It depends on the platform itself. Let's dive into Bitmap a little bit, because I know you guys have been big supporters. That was something that helped you guys grow in terms of the audience and been a big supporter. I know Bitmap's been up, I think it's up like 100% in the last 24 to 48 hours. How do you guys feel now that it's been, 3-4 months since you guys created the map? Maybe it's been short. I don't know. It feels that long.
Well, we just posted yesterday. All right, sorry, go ahead. Finish up.
No, I was just going to say, what are the plans to maybe introduce something new to the Bitmap ecosystem like you guys did a few months ago?
Yeah, so we released the attribute standard, which was basically allows people to inscribe attributes to their bitmaps, whether it be a link or a 3D file or whatever it is. So that standard is out there and it exists. And that was kind of our like, hey, we really want to keep building on this, but we've got a lot of other shit to do for, just in terms of just building our marketplace out. Here's like a working tool that anyone can use. And it kind of went quiet for a little while. But just yesterday we saw this recursive thing that I just pinned to the top, which is really interesting. They've created a fully like zoom out, zoom in map that shows you what bitmaps are yours, what bitmaps are on, like people who like bitmaps you own. If you're online, they'll like glow different colors and you can zoom in and see what they've inscribed to them. And then you can also go into like live bitmap. So if all of us are hanging out on, my bitmap, like 8859, it has a Twitter Spaces function in there, or like a Discord chat where you just go in and you're muted and then you can unmute and talk to everybody who's in there. You can also walk around on the map, and there's also a text chat. It's like very feature rich new bitmap product that just came out, and it's got bugs and there's work that's needed there, but you can really start to see a real vision around how you can utilize these bitmaps to create social spaces in Ordinals. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So it's cool to just see people start building on this stuff. And you can imagine like you're walking around in this bitmap that's actually a game, and you can go and trade with people live, in the map. I think it's pretty interesting, and it's kind of exactly what we envisioned it kind of looking like within a few months, and it's already here. So that's exciting too. It's good stuff.
Yeah, that's what kind of stemmed the getting Ordinals Wallet on today. Was Randy hit me up, showed me this, and they're always kind of dabbling with the most innovative part of the technology. Like we got Champions up here as well. I think what they did there was like, back to his original point, is bringing different and like utility and use cases and do stuff with your tokens, which is like, that's just been the problem since the beginning of the crypto. Is like these tokens, once you hold them and then speculation goes away, it goes to zero, you move on to the next one with some hopium. But I think like what they're building on top of bitmap is super interesting, having a base layer of data that you can build new kind of ecosystems on top of, and that ownership kind of can transcend more than one location. And then ownership of games, like a card game. Like after seeing what I saw yesterday, like I don't know how many people played RuneScape, but like I think a game that's like very small and like pixelated, but addicting, like something like that, like Minecraft or something. I know that's a stretch, but just getting games on chain where assets are as well. And I think Bitcoin Machines was like heading towards that. I know you guys aren't associated with the team, but you guys helped them early. Do you guys have any updates on Bitcoin Machine?
No, I don't know. I don't really know what's going on over there anymore. We helped them launch, and we did a few partnerships with them, and then they kind of moved on.
Gotcha. Because I just know that like I had like a bunch of stuff in my wallet from like, it looked like gear, or like it looked like they were like primed to start to do a game. But yeah, I don't know. I just think like stuff like that, if the game like is solid and there's items that are rare and like very like needed for some type of game, I just know that that's going to work. And I think the Champions model is probably the best because yeah, I just want to say GM to them as well. We got them on stage. So what's up?
What's up, guys? Yeah, driving now. I'm driving down to like a game store to get, we talked to a couple yesterday. They're super stoked on what we're doing. So yeah, I'm kind of just here listening to you guys. So yeah, appreciate you having us up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm excited. I don't know, personally, I think everyone that was here last week or the week before, I lost track of time. But yeah, I'm bullish on that model of just like slow playing games that show proof of ownership. And yeah, so I don't know. Are you guys exploring the bitmap kind of land ownership with the game by any chance?
Yeah, like Chris reached out to us, so like we've been in talks with them. But yeah, like I said, our prime focus right now is like trying to get in these physical game stores. Like we're pretty fired up right now. The first couple, I have 5 more scheduled today, but we talked to 2 yesterday, and just the whole ability, for their customers to be able to buy these with credit cards so they don't even know it's Bitcoin, and then us being able to like share these back end royalties and stuff with these game stores is like crazy, because they're being pinched super hard by like Wizards of the West, Magic the Gathering's company and things like that. So them being so fired up about it yesterday, like got us super excited here. So yeah, we're kind of like focused on that. But yeah, definitely we've been, you know, hit up by the people working on Bitmap Valley and stuff like that.
Nice. No, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so Champions TCG is just a really great example of something that uses the blockchain and it all makes sense. And they I mean, when Miles reached out to us to do the mint, we were just 100% down because they already have a working game where you're just using real NFT assets to play these battles in this game. So it's one of those things that it just makes sense immediately. And that's really nice to have in this space as well. There's a lot of
pew pew sound is Jake playing the game live. If you guys are watching the stream,
Did that noise happen? I was trying to figure out where to mute it.
Yeah, you hear the pew pew pew. Awesome.
I'm just giving a test. Don't mind me.
It's crushing. Jake, you're good at that game, dude.
I'm just showing off OrdinalsWallet, dude, with the arcade feature. I haven't seen that. Sorry to interrupt, but I haven't seen that feature anywhere else. How tough is it to build something like JPEG Warriors right into the website so that I could play it just like it just did?
It's super easy, actually. We just iframe it. So we just talk to the founders. They give us whatever we need, and we just plug in the code. It's pretty cool.
Fuck yeah, easy. But speaking of innovation, I saw you guys posting this recently as well. You know, before you were in OrdinalsWallet, you were building out Twitch, which was kind of like the Twitter for the blockchain, but it was on Bitcoin SV. Friendtech had come out recently, and they had used a progressive web app, which was something I believe you guys had done, 3 or 4 years ago for Twitch?
Yep.
Something like that. How does it feel, you know, front running the entire SocialFi meta by about 5 years?
Oh, we always knew it was going in this direction. You can't have if Apple doesn't allow the crypto stuff, PWA just makes sense. Josh called that, like 5 years ago. He was like, "Oh, PWA is the future." I think he tweeted it too. I think if you look back on some of his old posts, it's like one of them literally says like "bullish on PWA" or something. Yeah, that was all Josh. He's usually ahead on a lot of stuff.
But circumventing, you know, things like the App Store where Apple could have some sort of, you know, retaliation. How do you go about preventing that from happening or setting yourself up to have some fail safes? Also, same thing with like crypto marketplaces and just things that are on the outside of what central authorities can control.
Yeah, you know, browser-based apps, that's kind of where we always go because we know that there's a lot less control there. There's so much more control in the app stores, basically.
Yeah, the 30% tax.
And then there's like the AWS. Like I remember when Parler got canceled by AWS, that was like a huge deal because we were already ahead of that one as well. We were like, oh yeah, AWS is just going to use all this control to exercise control over companies that they don't like. And, you know, chances are good that we're going to end up being a company that a lot of these big monopolies don't like. So we've been off that for a long time as well.
Yeah, I feel that, man. You guys have been crushing it, and you know, we've worked together on a handful of things as well. Just looking through the marketplace, you know, it's a lot more vibrant than before. But one thing, you know, that's really that kind of sticks out to me when you compare it to the other marketplaces, you don't see some of the larger collections like Ordinal Maxi Biz or Bitcoin Punks or some of these that really get all the volume. And we know, you know, OMB is really doing the majority of the volume just across all the marketplaces. How do you guys go about maybe identifying what can be, you know, the next top collection or project that'll command the volume so that you can attract it and bring it over to OrdinalsWallet? Because I think that there's maybe 3 or 4 different collections that are really the differentiator between, you know, having a 20% market or volume share and a 0.5% market share.
Yeah, so OMB and I think DGods, they didn't they didn't want to work with us. They wanted to work with Magic Eden, and they didn't really they don't tell their users and their holders to like go use Ordinals Wallet and all that stuff. So it's like there's nothing we can do. We just have no control there. As far as like how do we get the next OMB? Well, there's, if you really look at it, there's only a few people in the space that could even do something like an OMB. There's like BitGod and there's like ZK and there's a couple of others. And if they're going to come out with the collection, it's probably going to be big, right? So like you just look at kind of who's running the show. Like if Frank is coming out with something, it's probably going to be big, So that's kind of an easy way to identify the next ones. But the ones that really interest me are the ones that don't require those guys, is like Bitcoin Frogs and Pixel Pepe, the ones that were free or airdropped, free to mint, and the free to mint just enables this larger market to come in and get excited about stuff because they didn't have to kind of have this massive barrier to entry. Like, the OMB mint price and the BTC DGOD's mint price is just it's going to give some kind of floor to that collection. And if it's fucking 0.2 BTC and the total volume on Ordinals is like 3 BTC, then it's gonna it's gonna just automatically make up for a significant percentage of that volume. There's no problem with that. I have no problem with that. It's just like if you want to identify the next one, you just look for the next Frank, or ZK.
Find the subtle influencers.
Yeah.
Last question I had, just from the infrastructure standpoint. You guys do launch a ton of projects from your guys' launchpad. I would say it's probably one of the leaders in terms of getting new projects out there in the forefront. If I'm a listener and I'm creating a project, what is the process to sign up for the launchpad? What are the prerequisites? And I guess what's the average? I guess how many projects do you plan on launching per month?
No plans, no real schedule, no real plans. We look for things that are interesting to us. Maybe if it's it has a game like Coon Battles, or it is coming from some influencer who has some big plans. We're going to do Ordinals Council, I think, this week, which is pretty exciting. They have a ton of stuff going on. They've already built a launch pad and all this other stuff. So like we went in, we had a call with them. We made them show us all the stuff that they have built already before we're going to go and tell our customers that this stuff exists. We need to make sure that it exists. So we were able to go in and test all the stuff that they were claiming, was going to be a part of this mint. And so when all that stuff is verified and it all checks out, then, we're ready to go. And right now, with the market being the way that it is, we really do have to vet people. It either has to be like a really great meme that has the potential to go viral. It has to be coming from somebody who's a big name who has really good ideas. It has to have a game, or it has to have some kind of interesting other factor to it for us to kind of take it on. So far, it's really just been like a lot of testing the waters and seeing what's what and seeing what's out there. We're really just learning and gathering information right now. But it definitely seems like as we go forward, we're going to be a little bit more selective, and we're going to be doing a lot more vetting of the potential launchpad partners.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that Ordinals Council is launching that with you. I've been a holder of their coin for seemingly forever, so I was wondering if they were ever going to get an actual project out there.
Yeah, so they've already they've built some shit already, which is really exciting, because I kind of went in there and I was freaking out. I was like, dude, we can't launch this thing without and like promise all this stuff if you can't come through with all those promises. We've seen all these collections, like even the biggest ones in the game, with all these big promises that never come to fruition. And so I was like, we're just not going to have that. We're not going to exploit our customers. We're not going to put them in position where it's just they're getting promised something and then it's never getting delivered. And so when I kind of went in on them, they really started to show me all of the stuff that they have already built, and then I kind of started to get excited about it, and I kind of want to keep that cadence moving forward. It's like we have to kind of protect our brand, our interest, just as much as kind of like we need to launch stuff. So
yeah, as somebody who's a Ordinals Wallet Launchpad veteran is Bunzi. When he launched Mullet Punks Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about your experience from that. That was what, maybe 3-4 months ago?
That was that was solid as fuck. We like not only worked together on getting it all inscribed, but this was before the launch pad, but just kind of started to mention like how that could potentially work as well. But we kind of just said fuck it and ripped them, and like the amount of traffic and how well the site held up was the numbers were pretty fucking. I remember you guys made a post the next day about it, and it's pretty significant. It was a cool time. Ordinals were in a much different market, but the thing is like we can say all that stuff, but the moment that
What the hell, bro?
the moment those market conditions come back, all of this is gone, and like, you know, we're right back in that position of like whoever was building and putting these tools into place are, you know, leading the way. And right now it's just like, you know, you look around, look at numbers and reassess, but you know, this market moves in cycles. There's, you know, so many data points to prove that. And the thing about Bitcoin is it's not going anywhere. Like the amount of time in the market, the amount of people, the amount of global brand recognition that Bitcoin has. And, you know, I can't say the same about Solana. I can't say the same about Cardano. Can't say the same about, I mean, this will be just to get everyone going, but you can almost say the same thing about Ethereum. It's like, you know, but Bitcoin will definitely, you know, reign supreme, and, you know, assets that are on it, and especially as low as we have them inscribed, I think it was a super fun time. Everything was like super, what's the word? Like everyone was just high off Ordinals. And, you know, it was a super fun release, and I'm just so stoked that we got them in super early, because now we're up to 27 million inscriptions. And some of these, like, there's going to be a sub, like, imagine sub 1 million, like, and then some of these 10Ks. I see we got Skrilla here too. Like, Skrilla has like sub 10Ks. Some of that stuff can be fucking really, really cool in, you know, a few years, 10 years, and talk about a few decades from now. Like, I just love how Ordinals is for like true collectors. Like, at least that's how I've been using them. And it feels better to collect on Bitcoin, knowing that no one could change an IPFS link, fuck around with anything. And yeah, I just love how like art projects and some of these things have just, I don't know. I actually went through my wallet, I think last week, and just kind of, and then I compared it to my Ethereum wallet, and I don't know. I love everything I've been collecting on Bitcoin.
Did you guys see that? Like, even I think Lee and I just came out with this post the other day. It was like 450 of the 580,000 transactions on Bitcoin today were Ordinals related, and it's like, even in like the worst cycle of the market, the majority of the interest of actually using and transacting in Bitcoin is related to Ordinals, and I think that's really an interesting take. You know, those transaction numbers skyrocket during bull markets. And so, you know, if that ratio holds, that's a pretty significant data point, I think.
Yeah, I actually recorded a podcast episode with Charlie Spears earlier, who, you know, works at Ordinals Hub, or runs Ordinal Hub and with Luxor Mining. And I asked him just about, you know, the mining, all the mining pools interest in Ordinals. And he said it's actually significantly higher than what you would think. Just a lot of the mining companies, whether they're infrastructure or on the hardware side, right, for the mining, or the software side, if you're a pool, they're all trying to come up with different strategies about how they could either support the Ordinals ecosystem and also trying to extract the value, whether it's some sort of, you know, Ordinals futures product, or working side by side with a marketplace, or, you know, an acquisition and merger. They're all really exploring it. I just don't think you really see as much conversation because, again, the Ordinals market, or the Ordinals marketplace or industry right now is really only 1,500 people, and it's such a small amount of capital, right? $300,000 in 24 hours, compared to what these miners are putting out and
Yeah.
pushing. You know, it's I think maybe a year from now or 6 months from now, you'll probably see some ordinal mining products specific to ordinals. What?
Or just me? You're
I-
kind of rugging for me.
Yeah, you're a little
Rugging.
bit choppy, man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Dude.
Oh no.
Get
Go
out
ahead.
of those caves, bro. What the hell are you doing, dude?
Am I still rugging?
No, you're good, dude.
Damn. All right. Well, I rest my case
No,
then.
no, you're better. You're better. Just sit on your router. You'll be better.
Just sit on my router. No, I was just saying that the whole idea is just that I was recording with Charlie Spears, right, from Luxor Mining. We're just talking about ordinals and their relationship to Bitcoin mining, and a lot of the companies are actually, you know, evaluating what type of ordinals product is specific to their company, right? Whether you're a mining pool on the software side or you're a mining company on the hardware side, there's some sort of intersection there to provide more value, to acquire, you know, an ordinals project, marketplace, right? Or to spit out something new that's quite innovative. And we haven't really seen that much yet outside of miners just say that, hey, you've made us 50 million in extra fees. We appreciate that. But I think maybe we were saying on our podcast, maybe in 6 months to a year. And he said Luxor Mining is also looking into multiple aspects as well, to where there's a harmonious relationship to the ordinals ecosystem and Bitcoin mining. That's not just, you know, pushing extra fees to the miners itself. So it's something that I'm like looking forward to.
Yeah, nobody likes to talk about, you know, what happens when the subsidy goes to zero. And for mining businesses that are multi-billion-dollar businesses, that's a really expensive risk to take, is just to ignore it. But it's definitely coming, and something's got to give.
Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, I talked to him. I said, if I was a mining company or maybe a mining pool, I'd create some sort of like ordinals futures product where you can, you know, you could sell the future commons, right? If you want to sell some of those like future rarity products, maybe you have some sort of relationship with Bitmap to where you can, you know, mine those new Bitmap ones immediately. There's a lot of different ideas out there to where you can sell those future sats in a different way. Because I mean, right now the fees are 7 sats per VByte. At one point it was up to 800. If you're, let's say a rare inscription tool and you're inscribing on rare sats, you don't want to have to deal with that volatility of the sat of the fees in the future, because you know it's going to happen again. So you could create some sort of like futures contract, like to where you're buying all of these certain type of sats at a certain price. So you don't have to, you know, pay 50x or 100x, which is kind of the same practice that happens, you know, in like the corn industry and all of these other future products that are out there in the traditional markets.
Talking about Bitcoin again?
Corn industry.
The real Bitcoins, the original corn.
Dude, I've been working on some Bitcoin. No, but yeah, I mean, what's super interesting too is, I don't know if this is too much of a segue, but while we have Randy too, is just talk about the grayscale decision, and you know what that means for the listeners, because I know exactly what it means. No, I'm just kidding. What's the grayscale decision?
Yeah, we can open this section up to if anyone has questions and wants to ask Randy. We've gone through a lot of the just basic questions and some more nuanced ones for Ordinals Wallet. But if you want to come up here, ask them anything about Ordinals Wallet or just anything in general, yeah, please come up on stage and we'll ask this, and then I'll call on Medici right afterwards. So Randy, give us your take right now on the grayscale win. We're now, I guess the crypto industry is now 2 for 2 so far, with one more upcoming with the SEC lawsuit that resided with the win for Ripple and XRP. This morning, the SEC all lost their case against Grayscale, saying that the appeals court favored Grayscale, saying that the SEC should have never denied the ETF application. So a lot of people are now predicting that this Friday you will see a slew of ETFs be approved. And that's why all of those ETFs over the last month were resubmitted, because there was this expectation that Grayscale was going to come out on top of this lawsuit. And today they did.
Yeah, I don't really pay a lot of attention to this stuff. I don't really understand why I would buy into an ETF if I can just buy Bitcoin and actually own it. But I will say, like, I don't even know. Another reason why I don't really pay attention to this stuff is because I've been in the game for so long, and every time there's like some speculation, there's like a tiny little market pump where, you know, when the halving comes, it's always like this massive, like, it's just, there's a different level of pump that seems to have nothing to do with anything that's happening in like the broader world surrounding crypto. For example, you know, China banned Bitcoin in like 2017 or whatever, and then it just like runs up to 20K. It's like, I don't know if any of that stuff really has direct correlation on like long-term market price. And I'm sure it'll have like, you know, you'll see these little 5-10% bumps up and down in the market, but the real bulls have been so much bigger than that it's kind of hard to like really put a lot of stock into this kind of stuff. Does any of that make sense?
Yeah, man. I mean, the only thing I would layer in there is for your average boomer, they're never going to have a crypto wallet, right? So for them holding Bitcoin or holding any crypto in their, you know, retirement accounts is
that's true.
Actually a big deal.
My dad, every time I see my dad, he's like, you know, how do I get into this Bitcoin thing? And I'm like, okay, go to Coinbase. And he's like, he'll do this every time. Like, he doesn't remember. It's like once or twice a year. He downloads Coinbase or Robinhood.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? I have to input my bank information or connect my bank account? And I'm just like, yeah, you know, that's how you buy stuff, is you have to like use your bank. And then he's like, oh, I don't trust this. And then he just literally will never follow through with, like, if it's the social security number or if it has to do with linking your bank account, he's out.
Yeah.
But he forgets that it happens like once or twice a year, and he has me set him up again and then never does anything. It's pretty funny. So yeah, you're right. The boomer is a very good point. And I've also noticed a narrative change. Not like, so BlackRock guy comes out and says, like, you know, Bitcoin is the currency or whatever. It has potential, which is really interesting, right? It's like, this guy's probably shorting the fuck out of it now. But so the BlackRock guy comes out, and then I also see like a much larger narrative. Like, I just watch YouTube videos and I'll watch podcasts, and Bitcoin almost always comes up at least once in one of these podcasts. And, you know, it's like real, like mainstream, like normie podcasts. These aren't like crypto podcasts. And what I've seen is that, like, the Bitcoin narrative as just, hey, you know, I want to have some exposure to Bitcoin in my portfolio is extremely common now. And that's really interesting, right? That's like kind of, we've definitely reached a new level with regards to like interest and like actual like money coming in as like keeping it as an asset class that's significant, or at least a part of every portfolio. That's like a thing now. That was not a thing, you know, 5 years ago.
Yeah, I agree as well. I believe at one point, Larry Fink, who's the guy that runs BlackRock, he went from saying you need 1% of your allocation or long-term allocation to be to Bitcoin to something up to like 80% at some point in like a year. So complete 180. And I think that's why everyone's really getting bullish here. I
really don't trust that guy. You know?
I didn't trust that guy as far as I could fucking throw him, which isn't far, man. That guy.
So just some in
the grass. Whatever you think is happening with them, he's already 3 steps ahead. So if you think, you know, they're acquiring or accumulating Bitcoin, bro, that happened 8 months ago. You know what I mean?
And then like if he's saying he's bullish, he's probably shorting and vice versa.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly.
It's like whenever the government says, oh, you know, you need, or the CDC comes out and says like, oh, you need this new vaccine, you just kind of do the opposite.
Yep.
That's kind of where I'm at with that stuff.
Lockdown. So just clarification to close this up. The Grayscale ETF bid to be reviewed after court win against SEC. It says the U.S. Court of Appeals has ordered the SEC to vacate its rejection of the manager's bid to create an ETF, specifically through the conversion of its Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC, right? So that was the whole point, was GBTC was supposed to get converted to an ETF. Ultimately, they kept getting it denied. This is what Three Arrows Capital, I think it was like $2 billion crypto fund that went under by Suzu and Kyle Davies. They claim that they went under because they acquired so much GBTC that they expected it to be converted. Ultimately kept getting denied so that they were stuck. Therefore, they kept borrowing and sent everything under, including Terra Luna and everything else. So interesting to say there. I do want to call on Medici, had their hand up first, and then we're going to call on Rocket Art right afterwards. If Medici's still here. You still here?
Medici.
Hey guys, what's going on?
What's good? I saw you had your hand up about 10 minutes ago. Do you have anything on your mind?
Yeah, man. So I got a lot of man. I really want to talk about what happened today because it's a huge legal precedent being set for Bitcoin, and I don't think people really understand the magnitude of a judge coming down on the SEC like that. And it kind of after talking about this for a couple weeks, just the more research I've been doing into it, and my theory was that with the three main litigations going on, right? Coinbase versus SEC, Binance versus SEC, and XRP versus the SEC. It really felt to me like it's a detriment to our country as far as America is concerned, because it's going to hinder the progression of crypto regulation in this country, and we're going to lose out on a lot of talent if we don't shore this up very quickly. And I feel like today's judgment kind of proves my theory, which was that the SEC was being uncooperative with the exchanges because they may have felt disrespected in some way, because these exchanges just made a bunch of money and never really went knocking at the door for the SEC, right? They made the SEC come to them. And when you're dealing with figures of authority like that, you're supposed to appeal to their authority, or they're going to do their best to make things difficult for you. And so I think today's ruling really proves my point that the SEC has been being biased against crypto in general, just because they feel like they've been cast to the side in terms of an authority figure. And but yeah, I think any exchange moving forward that's trying to develop should really do their best to try to cooperate with, at least if you're in the US, cooperate with these authorities so that we can get cooperation back when we need to review the Securities Acts of 1933 and 1934, right? They're over 100 years old, or almost over 100 years old. And if we can get those reevaluated and get a better legal understanding of what crypto is, then we can do our best to make tax jurisdiction more favorable for the talent that's just in this industry.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's always this back and forth kind of pull that's happening. Mostly it's a push, I would say, towards the crypto industry, right? We got this win. So then we move on to the Coinbase. But also what happened recently is I think it was the Democrats introduced a bill where they're trying to now KYC wallets like MetaMask. They're trying to get everything KYC'd, trying to get so if you want to use something like Aave or Uniswap, you have to KYC your wallet to interact with. Ultimately, right, it's just like a game of cat and mouse or whack-a-mole, where you could ban one thing and then there will just be like 4 other alternatives that kind of come up. So always be wary when there is a win, because there's generally something else on the regulatory front that's kind of getting pushed under.
But is KYC really a bad thing? I mean, like, this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately.
Bro, are we going to get into this, bro? KYC is fucking terrible, dude. Are you kidding me?
Adam, give me an explanation. Why is it bad?
Why should I need a permission slip to do anything with my money?
You don't.
But that's what they're trying to make it happen.
They're saying you do. You need a permission slip. You need somebody to say, yes, okay, he can do that here. Why do I need a permission slip?
Well, you would need a permission. Okay. Permission slip you're talking about. You're just talking about
KYC. That's what it is.
Right?
Yes, he's okay to do this here.
Know your customer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I just feel like the current, if you were evaluating the current crypto market and industry, right, the biggest thing that is holding us back from progressing forward is these fucking scam artists and the lack of regulation in the space. And I don't understand. Like,
they use that narrative in order to control people in the crypto industry. It's just not true. It's not true. That's what they use as narrative, the same way they'd use it at your bank. When you go try to transfer $100,000 to a foreign country right now in your bank, they're going to ask you for tax returns. They're going to ask you where you got your funds. They're going to ask you where the funds are going. They're going to ask you what you're doing with those funds. You're going to need to prove what you're doing on the other end of those funds. Why should you have to do that in the typical banking system? It's
okay, so I think then we have two different conversations to talk about. I guess
no, I mean, it's the same conversation. It's KYC. Why should government be able to? Why should I have to have a permission slip to move my whatever wherever?
I agree with you, but I think on a business to business scale, it's very important for a lot of these infrastructures to be in place, just because of the concept of international trade and how as goods change nations, they have to be settled in different currencies. Like, there's a lot of
it's got nothing to do with currency exchange in different countries. Come on, man. That's got nothing to do with that. Literally nothing. Have you ever transferred money outside of the U.S. or wherever you are to another country? Have you ever tried to do that?
Yes.
At massive, like over 100K?
No, not over 100K.
Yeah, bro. Good luck with that. And then come back.
KYC is obviously.
Come back and tell me that KYC is a good thing. It's ridiculous. You haven't done it at a scale to understand the complexities and why it's a bad thing. It's a complete restriction of freedom, and it's a complete blow to freedom of individuals. If you don't believe in freedom of individuals and you think that government should be able to control all money flows and that you shouldn't be able to do what you want with your money, then you believe in KYC. Other than that, it's been something that's been thrown on people, and we've just gotten accustomed to, it's fighting against whatever the thing of the day is, terrorism or money laundering or drug dealing. They use those, and they actually restrict regular people doing regular free things.
I understand I understand your lack of trust in government authority, but all I'm saying is that for us to actually develop a real economy around crypto, even if it's not the government doing this top down, direction of regulation, we do need to regulate. Don't you think?
I can't do this anymore. Well, we don't need any.
We need regulation of where you send your money. I tell you what, you start an organization, you regulate your money. I want my money to be free. No, sorry. Don't
free money
at all. I want free trade, free money. I can spend my money on JPEGs or scams or whatever I want to spend it on without your oversight telling me I can or cannot spend that money where I want to spend it. We will never see eye to eye on that one.
That's what Bitcoin is, isn't it, though? We've never.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. That's what we're talking about. You're saying you want regulations to be able to tell me that if I want to transfer my Bitcoin to somebody else, I have to fill out a piece of paper. No, thanks.
I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying you have to. The Bitcoin is a decentralized currency, correct? And so we've never, I can't think of in just the history that I'm aware of us actually having an underlying decentralized currency that isn't able to be modified by some type of authority figure. So we already have, we have the most important technology already, the decentralized underlying currency. We just have to rebuild our markets around that concept, and everything you're talking about.
You're saying that the way to do that is by restricting it.
No, you'll always be able to move your Bitcoin anonymously or however you would like to. I'm just talking about in terms of mass adoption, there has to be, you know, for the regular person that doesn't know how to use the technology, you know, they may be willing to trade privacy for accessibility. And that's their freedom to choose as well, don't you think? Like, I just don't, I don't think it's as black and white as it's coming off to the audience, but I'd be more than willing to talk about this in depth with you, just because I appreciate your point of view, but I don't want to take up much more space here than I feel like I already am.
You're never taking up too much, but we will move on because, you know, this conversation will continually come up every week until there's an ultimate decision, and I don't think there really ever will be. I'm going to call on Rocket first because they had their hand up, and then we're going to go on to Ray next.
Thanks, guys. DFW Play behind the Rocket account. We're a marketplace, but my concern about I loved your title, Ordinal Marketplace Wars, and Ordinal Wallet. Thanks for bringing me up, Jake, and it's good to see some good faces, Randy, in here. My question is this: as a marketplace, one of the things that we were looking at early on was to index and to make sure that any assets that we brought on to our marketplace were recognized legitimate, or some way of validating that the original creator artist was the initial artist, not just some dude just inscribing an image on the chain and then calling it another imitating another project, another collection. I found the repo to be effective, but it's kind of a temporary solution. That's why I was also looking at Ordinal Hub. But after talking to Charlie and also Sci4, they seem to not really have something structurally in place, and they basically pushed me back to just publishing on the repo. And so we actually implemented some kind of automated process to doing that, so that our marketplace can auto publish our collections, at least to the only protocol that's currently available for collections to publish themselves. My question is isn't this? I noticed that after publishing a couple collections, I noticed that the Magic Eden and actually Ordinal Hub did not refresh, to say nicely, refresh their database with the data that you guys have so kindly been maintaining. And it is an undertaking that I think that the community really doesn't realize how important it is, one, and how much work it is, two. So going forward, my question is when you say wars, marketplace wars on Ordinal space, how are we going to come together as a community to make sure that all marketplaces do kind of adapt some kind of structure, and a structure that all of us try to at least participate in?
Yeah, so essentially what's going on is like they've locked down the information surrounding collections that they get first. So if Magic Eden gets a submission for a collection, they're not putting that into the repo. They're keeping it centralized information so that they can be the only marketplace where those NFTs are traded. And they're piggybacking off of the open source one that we created, and then getting all the new and more exciting, or whatever they think is the best collections, to be submitted through their centralized system, and then we can't even pull from it. They're blocking all attempts to grab that data and information. So it's really shitty. And ultimately it's going to push everybody towards a more centralized version, where you have to sign a message to prove that you're the collection creator in order to manage that collection through an interface that is held on a private database. That's just the way that it's being forced.
So is Ordinal Hub actually doing any kind of API? I was kind of thinking that, Sci4 was working pretty hard behind the scenes.
I think what's happening is that they're all just using the Magic Eden API, which is very selective about who they allow to get that information. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's I think it's destructive for a community. I mean, indexing is so very important, and it basically puts uh, validity to the community. So when we lock things out like that, I think that's we should. I don't know. As a community, I really think that we should make this very vocal that these actors are doing selective data transferring between the rest of us. And anyway, that being said, I do thank you for putting that, Randy, out there. You guys are doing a great job. We appreciate it 100%. And we're just trying to be good stewards in this space.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm pretty sure that when we come out with our new collection submission tool and like management tool, that it'll be accessible via our API. I'll have to confirm that with Harry, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case for us. But the problem is that what that enables is that enables all of our information to be open to our competitors, and then our competitors are not providing the same resource back, and so they're able to capture more market and have more collections. It just sucks,
Yeah, and I really wish that we could figure out a way to maybe we can collaborate as marketplaces that do cooperate in a good way to somehow with numbers outweigh their current position.
I hope so.
Well, that was the main reason I bought a Pepe, Pixel Pepe early on. Was I was hoping that at least that type of community sharing or community showing basically our support towards Ordinal Wallet by actually participating with something at least that we could show that we're supporting you guys. So thanks a lot. I appreciate answering my question.
Yeah, and if you need API stuff, we've got you. I've got a link for you if you need it.
Yeah, I'd love to DM you. I'm actually DFW Play or John. I actually just wanted to bring up, kind of expose us a little bit more as to. I'm sure you've probably seen our pull request.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even get OM. It was really hard for us to get OMB on our website. They didn't submit. They don't have any interest in being on Ordinals Wallet, and it's just kind of sucky,
Yeah, it is tough, man. Right, it goes back to the same kind of conversation with KYC. It's standardizing open source, principles across all of the marketplaces, all the protocols, all the platforms. It's very, very difficult to do. Not even just because of financial interests, but for security reasons as well. Adam and I have this conversation consistently with Emblem Vault as well. Certain areas of it are closed source, and a lot of it's open source, and a lot of it comes down to security measures, although sometimes it's tough to really interpret that, especially when you're talking about teams that don't openly discuss why certain aspects of their business is not open to the public. Really, really tough to know, but you hope at some point in the future that the majority of it will be. I just know that Magic Eden intends to close source everything, not even just their Bitcoin stuff.
Yeah, it's like cancer. But the question is like, why not? Like, if you're a collection creator, why not just enable every marketplace to index your collection to capture more market share? Like, I don't see how the incentive doesn't really align there as far as a collection creator goes, which is good, for us. But ultimately, as we've seen, the biggest ones, they seem to stick to their guns there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Well, they realize that they have market dominance, so they don't. It's like Google. We don't have to play nicely with you because we're number one, and we're gonna smoke you out basically because we're not gonna allow you to grow because we have the majority of the data. So it's terrible. It's absolutely horrible. So I'm glad that. I mean, I just wish there was just a little bit more community community involvement around that type of activity when marketplaces don't participate in the overall ordinal spaces, and by doing that, basically people realize that and don't go there. So, but I think that money plays a huge one, because people don't want to piss off the gorilla in the room, because they think that if they piss off the gorilla in the room, then they'll, if they ever have any future interactions, basically, that it's like the gorilla will stomp them.
Yeah, I mean, look at Magic Eden, and even probably OKX as well. Both of them have raised, a lot of private capital. I think Magic Eden raised $190 million at the peak of last bull run. So they have to, appeal to or appease their shareholders, which do not reflect the same interest as the retail market and those of us that are sitting here having this type of conversation.
Yeah, I actually had a huge conversation yesterday with a guy that was basically, we're talking about royalties, adding royalties back to giving it back to collectors, as opposed to what OpenSea did, is like remove that royalties. And I told him that the only reason that they would have removed royalties, because it was a very effective way of rewarding the creators. The only reason is because they're wash trading. And so, as you know, with wash trading, every time there's a transaction, if there's a 5% royalty going to the creator, if you're wash trading, you're putting tons of money back into the collector's wallet. And you have no way of stopping it, because you're wash trading. So you're artificially that you can be a market dominant person, but you're doing it basically at the peril of the artists having to pay them 5%.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually a really good point. And it's like the only way to like have success and interest and attention is to like be tricksy like that. And we try to keep an honest business over here. And so then therefore we're going to have ups and downs. That's just the way that it's going to be. And we're fine with that. I think, if you look at Solana, there was a huge opportunity for a new marketplace to come up, Tensor. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Tensor, but Tensor like took a huge market share from Magic Eden at some point because of people's kind of disgruntled attitude towards Magic Eden. And then you also have, whatever's happened with Blur and OpenSea. So Blur, saw the market opportunity. People were sick of OpenSea, and they were able to capture a massive market share and even become the biggest marketplace over there. So there's definitely pushback, and there's ripe opportunity for new startups to come in and make a name for themselves, like Tensor and like OrdinalsWallet. And so, that's a good sign too. So like people know.
That they do. I want to call on Ray. Just been waiting patiently. Thank you for waiting.
Hey, good afternoon. We were talking about exchanges earlier. I use Rock Wallet to buy some crypto. What are your favorites, or like what do you go to? Because I'm not a fan of KYC, but I don't feel like it's going to go away.
OrdinalsWallet.com and then /trade. I think it's trade Bitcoin. No, but you can click on that and get in there. Use our MoonPay thing. We get a nice little cut.
How did that setup happen? Did MoonPay reach out to you guys, or you just feel that they're the best to directly buy Bitcoin?
They reached out to us. Actually, we got reached out to by a ton of similar services, but MoonPay was the first. They hopped on it, and they were the only name that we'd actually heard of previously. So, and it's actually going really well, actually. So that's good too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I usually, when I'm buying Bitcoin or selling, it's usually through Cash App, which is run by Jack. They have pretty good fees.
You can use Robinhood too, which is obviously a great service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, generally not trading it as much. I don't have institutional capital like that anymore. Right? Maybe last bull run in 2017, anyone could be that type of person. Now it's just all massive amounts of money being flooded. You have no control over it. But I prefer Cash App. What about you, Bunzi? Where do you buy Bitcoin from?
What I buy Bitcoin off of I don't buy any of this stuff, dude. The SEC's listening. I just watch you guys mess with it. I think it's cute. It's fake internet money, and it's pretty cool stuff. But no, what I do think is interesting is like with this ruling, it just back to why my point earlier about Bitcoin being kind of the hub of where all of this is going is once the grayscale decision happened, Bitcoin, took a big uptick and the rest of the market followed suit, which is just a signal of like, we've seen other tokens go down, but that doesn't truly affect Bitcoin the same way that it affects everything else. And it's big papa. And when you are moving with assets and collecting things, assets on Solana aren't looking so hot. Like that's because, where it's living and where it exists and how it was built and being like a VC funded chain with, potential for reason for incentivizing, some fuckery is like just another really bullish signal for Bitcoin and kind of how it really does control the crypto market to a very large degree. And I'm looking just at the numbers and the timing of like Bitcoin getting that news and everything else just following suit. So it's super interesting because a lot of these other chains don't follow under the same regulation because there's even talk about Ethereum proof of stake being a security for that. So I don't know, it's just really interesting to kind of look at in live time how much Bitcoin controls the rest of the market as well.
Whenever Bitcoin sneezes, all the altcoins fall. But it's always been that way, man. Never has not changed at all.
Yeah,
since I've joined.
Yeah, shitcoins are gonna have a heyday tonight. They're like, oh, Bitcoin went up. Let's catch up.
Yeah, I appreciate that. If there are any other questions, please come up. If not, I think we're gonna wind this down. Randy, appreciate you for sharing your time, man. As you know, we're both big fans of Ordinals Wallet and the team over there. You, Harry, Josh, everyone, you guys crush it. So keep pushing on and fighting the good man's fight, as all of the underdogs would say.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Looks like we might have one final question here. Medici is back for round 2 of questions. Is that or Medici?
Hey guys, just curious. I know a lot of you guys are Ordinals Wallet people, and I was just wondering if you guys can explain ORC20s.
Oh boy, which ORCs?
I don't know. It's just something I heard today in one of the experts in the space that experts was hosting, and I just really didn't catch the beginning, so I didn't really hear how they were explaining it.
Randy, you want to take that one?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, there's a search for a token standard that works well as tokens for high speed, trading and transacting. And ultimately, BRC20 has left the door open for that. And so I think there are protocols being worked out where, there might be some room for a new token standard on Bitcoin. So ORC20 is one of those competitive token standards to BRC20. I'm not 100% clear on how it works, but I have been told to look into it, so maybe I should. And yeah, I mean, one of the problems, the other issues that Harry keeps bringing up to me is this indexing issue. It's like you shouldn't have to index these things in the way that we are. It should be a lot easier and like verifiable by everybody. So there are definitely some room. There's definitely some room for improvement in the token standards on Bitcoin, and I think token standards are really important part of the kind of DeFi Web3 ecosystem. And we do need to figure it out on Bitcoin,
Yeah, I think so as well.
Can you just talk very as brief as you can what the importance of indexing to marketplaces like yourselves?
Well, that's what we do.
It's everything, bro.
Yeah. So we have to take Satoshis and figure out what kind of Satoshis they are, and then find all of the Satoshis that contain an ordinal. And then now there's, subcategories of that. So like every time there's a new standard that comes out that says, oh no, now if you inscribe the word XYZ to a Satoshi, that's part of this protocol. Well, we need to figure out how to capture all of those XYZ protocol tokens and then put them into some kind of collection or method of engaging with it that is correct and like organized. Does that make sense?
And yeah. And so theoretically speaking, does like the new recursion technology allow for index for you guys to collaborate maybe on a larger scale to have like mutual index? I don't know. Like I said, this is not my forte.
Yeah, I know what you mean though. It's like we need like the system needs an indexer that like indexes indexers.
The meta.
It's true.
Yeah.
Bunzi and I have had this conversation at least 30 times already.
And can it be on chain and completely decentralized too, Bunzi? Can we make that happen?
Yeah, as long as you KYC it.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, to continue the KYC, because I know this is we don't have enough days in the week, but I had it in my drafts. I was gonna I pinned it up top. Yeah, to have the larger KYC discussion. I had this one kicking around in my drafts for a while. I was like, okay, this is a good time to put it out there. And yeah, we can continue that discussion in there about the KYCs. My general view on most of this stuff is when you get government involved, it sneaks up and it's a slow creep to complete lockup and lockdown. And I've seen it with international transfers being here in Costa Rica. From where when I first got here, you wanted to transfer 50 grand, you transfer 50 grand, it shows up 3 days later, it's here. Now you want to transfer 50 grand, it is weeks, potentially months to get the money down here. It's insane and ridiculous. And that's what you get when you get government creep. And so anybody who hasn't dealt with government creep like this, talk to some people who have, because it gets terrible. So that's my pushback, and happy to continue that discussion in the comments, man.
Right, Adam. Thanks.
Going swimming.
Liquid, dude. This guy's just like, Bitcoin's pumping, man's liquid.
My girl's just going crazy right now, you know.
Oh my God, that's
savage. We have to appreciate that you can tell Adam is from Costa Rica because he calls it government creep. Before
scope creep for the government. It's like, whoa there, Gensler. Like, we didn't talk about that one in the fucking proposal.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys and everybody who made it this far. You are awesome. If you don't know, Adam, I, and Bunzi, we host this, and Dogfather, we host this show every Tuesday and Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. That's 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. If you're like me and Bunzi, you live on the West Coast. We do Tuesdays focused on guests. Thursday, we get to talk about all of the fun things that happened through the week. So we'll probably save the AML and KYC conversation for Thursday, as well as probably the royalty debate that tends to come up every Thursday as well. So if anyone has any other final things they'd like to say, we're going to close this up and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Don't forget the KYC. Go to KFC, get a double chicken sandwich.